Hello, hello. This is Ronja with Wholesome TwinFlame Coaching. Welcome everybody and apologies for the 2-minute delay. I'm still trying to figure out YouTube and going live and then actually scheduling it for later. That's exactly what I did, and 2:30 came around and nothing happened, and I have no idea why. So I promise to figure it out for next time. If not for next time, then the following time, because my God, who's aiming for perfection, right? So here we are. I thought we had a viewer because I had actually gotten some questions ahead of time this time. But let me adjust my screen a little bit now that I can actually see myself in this phone camera so that I don't get too close to the camera. You don't need to see the tip of my nose. Oh, let me just see if I can go to my computer and see the to be honest, I'm not seeing anything because I'm afraid I might not see the comments on my phone. So just give me a second, please. Here we go. This is my channel. Good. I see that I'm live now. It's a funny thumbnail that I took because it just refuses to upload the one that I had. So lots of snafus, but that's lots of potential to, become better. It's awesome. All right. So the person that I thought was going to be here for whatever reason is not here. It is a bit odd. Oh, here we go. Yay! So to start off with, one of the questions that I had gotten, and I think it bears repeating to figure out if somebody actually even is your twin flame. Obviously, we've talked about this several times already, but there's always new people joining, and they don't necessarily have time to watch 2 or 3 months worth of videos, even though it's definitely worth doing, right? Give me a thumbs up. How do you recognize a twin flame, and how is it different from a soulmate? Well, a soulmate can be anybody in any capacity. So in other words, a soulmate can actually be your brother, your uncle, an acquaintance, a friend. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner. That's what I'm trying to say with that. And soulmates have a very deep connection. They've known each other for a long time, and by that I mean several lifetimes. They very often have a soul contract where before they incarnated, they have decided to learn a particular lesson and help each other learn that lesson. So for instance, even though it might be a very deep relationship, even a loving relationship, even a romantic relationship, you might end up doing something to each other that's highly traumatic, unless you can actually grow beyond it and therefore really learn to consider it as a lesson learned, and thereby several lessons from previous lifetimes concluded. So that might happen with a soulmate quite frequently. It doesn't have to, obviously, but it is an option. Soulmates are just simply very deep connections that you may have with any gender, any person, any kind of relationship. The twin flame, however, even though I'm not sure if it has to be the masculine and the feminine aspect, or if the masculine and feminine aspect have to be incarnated in a feminine and masculine body, they definitely complement each other in as far as that they are really one. And you can tell by the depth of that kind of connection and the fact that it's really, really hard to get away from each other no matter how much you try. There are lessons to be learned, but it seems like, in contrast to other soul lessons or lessons to be learned from other people, these lessons continue with your twin flame. It's like even everyday life is a continuing lesson because you keep learning about yourself, you keep perfecting yourself. Any kind of trauma, any kind of hurt, any kind of, let's call it negative, because we're in a world of duality, negative experience from past lives that you need to heal in one way or another to grow beyond, you will have a chance to have mirrored back to you by that person. and deal with it in the best way possible. And by best, I mean not in a judgmental way at all, just in a way that allows you to really take the lesson away, take the wisdom, and heal the wounds, so you don't react anymore, you respond to situations, to similar situations. So in other words, you take care of triggers. Things that used to trigger you no longer trigger you because you have taken care of the vibration that would react. Now you're just at a place from which you can respond. And that place is hopefully a more wholesome love for yourself and for the world and for the other person. And with the twin flame of, it's a reflection of yourself, it's part of yourself, love for the other person as well. So let me see if I'm getting some comments here. And sorry for moving away, but I have to look at my computer screen. Okay. So that's I'm feeling I'm continuously growing, and it's tough when I don't want to. Yeah, not wanting to, I know, but there's no escape. We're here on planet Earth to learn and grow and expand as our divine self that we are. We are all part of God, right? We are all part of the big. It's so hard to describe because it's almost indescribable. If you wanted to use the terms that we're familiar with, we're all part of God. And we are vibrational beings. We came here in a body, which lets us forget that we are vibrational beings, that we are part of God. And we get so caught up in this 3D, 4D world that we know, where we can see things, touch things, hear things, feel things, that we forget that we are actually mind and feelings. And I find it so lovely how Abraham Hicks talks about it so clearly, really. And we're just vibrational beings. We decided to be here, but if we start to remember that we are actually vibrational beings, and we use our mind to use our guidance system of our feelings to tune into what feels good, we can actually start living the life that we want. And it's quite fascinating that way. Once you start realizing that you control your emotions, you control your mind, and you can create your own reality that way, it becomes much easier to deal with a twin flame relationship as well, because then you are conscious and aware of what's going on. You recognize, okay, this is a scenario, a trigger, this is how I would normally react. I'm going to step back, I'm going to reflect on it by healing the wound, recognizing what do I feel, cleaning up that vibration, that what I call emotional trauma from the past, and heal yourself that way to vibrate at a more divine level. Because really, what else is God but perpetual happiness and perfection? Perfect love, perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect self-expression. That's really what we're aiming for. And if you look at any religion really in the world, they all said the same thing, that God is this kind of perfection. And the fact that they claim that mankind is imperfect, it's because we have a body and we have experienced things and we have created vibration in ourselves that keeps attracting similar scenarios, so that we can finally realize our God potential, that we can tune into what we really are, this God vibration, this divine self of love, and heal the wounds and move beyond those restrictions that we've pretty much imposed upon ourselves. So let me see, is there another question somewhere? No, not so far. Well, one question, how do we recognize the twin flame? If there are more questions, please post them. Otherwise, I'll just continue to talk about the challenge of being in a twin flame relationship. Once you realize that you can't get away from this relationship, that is a good indicator that is a twin flame relationship. It is so much deeper, so much more challenging, but also so much more rewarding in so many ways. Because whatever you grow with and from and do to the other person, you recognize as self-growth, as self-development. And that is so rewarding when you realize that you've moved beyond so many things that before without that person, you wouldn't even have known existed. We are so used to our restrictions, to our cages that we are in by our upbringing, culture, society, and whatnot. A lot of us have glimpses, and more people nowadays have glimpses of what's really possible. They're waking up, as we call it. People have awakenings, they see things differently, they're suddenly open to what they previously would have called woo-woo experiences, like hearing things that nobody else can hear. I talked about that last time. I talked about clairaudience, hearing voices, because your inner being is tuned to spirit, and things like that. So, oh, there's another comment, which I can actually see on my phone. Yay! It is difficult to find calm. How do you help when we face... it's fading. How do you help when we face challenges in a twin flame relationship? Yeah, staying calm. Well, it helps, I guess, to have learned some things that help you stay calm just in the regular world of 3D, 4D, such as meditation, mindfulness, knowing, recognizing when you would rather react instead of respond. And the difference is, do I react out of a learned pattern, or do I actually take a step back and reflect on how I feel, why I feel, and if I can somehow respond from a place of love and forgiveness? And if not, do I have the strength to just step away? If you have learned these things before actually entering a twin flame relationship, good for you, because it makes things much easier. I didn't say, I said much easier, but I didn't say it takes all the challenge away. Definitely not, because if it weren't challenging, then it wouldn't be a twin flame relationship. So everybody's given exactly what they can handle in a way. And if it takes a pretty radical step to step away from the relationship just to recoup, that is also a sign of love. And I think Jason and I have talked about that in a previous show as well, about boundaries and what it takes to actually foster the self-love so that we don't react and hurt the other person. That ultimately, even though it might seem selfish at the time, is actually a place of self-love as well. So how to remain calm? Generally, just do what anybody really should do to stay calm and start focusing inwards on the divine self. I suggest meditation, lots of meditation, because when you're clear and calm within yourself, you can respond to the world in a quite different way, obviously. You're much more centered. Things can come at you in a way that they don't phase you anymore. If it's something coming from a twin flame, it affects you differently, obviously, because you're so deeply connected. Twin flame, the whole idea is that you're one soul just split in two. So things will affect you differently, but it will always give you a chance to grow beyond that. I'm not very good at meditation. Can you help? Yes, well, I do offer meditations online. I also have a course on Udemy where I teach the 7 simple steps of meditation, because over my career, lecturing on meditation, teaching meditation, I realized that it's always the same things that trip us up learning how to meditate. People are overwhelmed by the whole concept of having to do so many things simultaneously in order to become calm, that it kind of counteracts the whole process of becoming calm, because they get more and more anxious. And that can be preempted, obviously, by learning the steps separately, step by steps. Hence my course, Mastering the 7 Simple Steps of Meditation, which is available on Udemy. I have free meditations on this YouTube channel, where I recorded the meditations that I teach every Monday night here in Folkestone. You can always join those. Just contact me on how to do that. Generally, I just recommend mindfulness. We are so busy in our industrialized world. Actually, coming from the world of academia and having thought about this a lot as a spiritual person, I believe that this lifestyle that has been created by industrialization has actually been pretty detrimental to our spiritual well-being. And unless you've been lucky enough to stay grounded in spirituality by practicing a particular religion, for instance, it's really hard for us to find our way back to ourselves, to our spirit. Some people do that by just scrapping everything and going to India for months to find themselves. Some people are being forced because they just cannot cope anymore, and the universe intervenes and just throws them I don't know, a horrible disease or life circumstances that force them to look back upon themselves by being ripped out of the workplace, their family situations, etc., etc. So if you can avoid that and just start looking at yourself by being mindful and introspective through meditation without the universe having to intervene, it's obviously a much smoother growing back into spirit than a traumatic event. There was another comment. Just hold on just a sec. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I've had some good feedback on the Udemy course. So that will be fun to see if you like it as well. Thank you. And Udemy also has very often has really, really cheap deals going on. So the original price that's on there, even though that's what it's worth, you hardly ever have to pay that. So just wait for a good deal to roll around and you can buy it for really cheap. So yeah, just general mindfulness. What you can do is always breathe really deeply and just learn to become aware. A lot of it is just awareness. We're so used to having to respond so quickly in this world that we don't take the time to just breathe, take a step back, and then respond instead of react to a situation. Because very often by that time, the other person yells at you again. I mean, happens to me a lot, actually. I've had it happen for a long time that people cannot deal with me being mindful. They just use me as a lightning rod then and just let everything out on me, and I'm supposed to somehow take it. Then they're very surprised that from this calm, centered place, I say something that completely floors them because I didn't expect it, not because I mow them down verbally or whatever, but because they do not deal with this attitude of calm. I've even had it happen and the irony of it will not be lost on you, in Christmas shopping, where I very calmly went through the checkout, not slowly to annoy people, but calmly, because I was actually not stressed. I was the only person in that store not stressed. And the person behind me actually ran me over with a shopping cart. That's how annoyed he was by me. We can say at the end of the day, okay, this is where I reacted. This might be something I'd like to work on through healing, meditation, prayer, and spirit guidance. Or this is where I actually managed to respond. Well done, me. I'm moving forward. That is awesome. I think there was another comment. Hold on. Oh, Akashic field therapy, and if that helps with being a better twin flame for someone. Well, being a better twin flame is not something I would phrase it that way. What does better mean anyway? We all do our best, and that is always good enough. I don't like having to put pressure on anybody or myself. As long as you do your best, and even if you want to take a rest sometimes, it is absolutely perfect. But to answer the question, yes, I do Akashic field healing your own wounds to get rid of your karma, which I don't know if people know. So let me just explain this real quick. The Akasha is your book of life, which in energetic form has recorded everything. And in every lifetime, you carry with you the vibration of those experiences, good and bad. And they influence the way you live now, the things that you attract into your life now. For instance, if you might have made a vow of poverty in a previous life, in your attempt to be closer to the divine, for instance, this vow might still affect you today. In regard to a twin flame, a good example would be that actually, similarly, a lot of people who sought a spiritual life back in a monastery, they also negated physical love or loving another human being because their religion forbade them from doing that, other than in a platonic way, because they have subscribed their lives to God and service to God. So when these people now encounter the twin flame, they would have a hard time admitting to that love, and they don't even know why. Something holds them back. They realize they love the person. They've probably been in other relationships too, but it might not go as deep as the other relationships or as deep as the twin flame relationship could go, because it is so much closer to the divine love anyway. Comment, sometimes I let myself get in the way and that blocks me. She gets frustrated and I notice that it was my past blocking me. Oh, well, good for you to have recognized that. Twin flame relationships are challenging. Life is challenging, period. But a twin flame relationship has its own unique set of challenges. And what I love about it, though, is that it always brings you back to yourself. Everything is always a not only does it hold true for everybody that you ever encounter, but especially so for a twin flame. So having found a twin flame is really, really a great blessing, even though you might want to curse it. But hey, hence the name of this coaching, right? WTF. Yeah, that's the reason why I chose that. And there's also a reason why I chose that picture. That one? Oh no, sorry, this one. Yeah. Yeah. So how to best work through those frustrations? Mindfulness, being aware of yourself, and most importantly, I think open communication. Very often in twin flame relationship, I've been told and I've noticed, and I hear all over again, is that one person, and that's not meant in a judgmental way at all, that one person is more spiritually evolved in a particular way than another. And that only means that they have a different kind of awareness in this lifetime already. So it's just really important to communicate, no matter what one needs at any given time for oneself. Just communicate, because it is a twin flame relationship, these things are much better understood. Where in a, for lack of a better description, in a regular relationship, the other person might be offended when you just say, well, I'm sorry, but I just have to step out and meditate now for 30 minutes and come back to myself, and then we can continue this discussion. Because they don't really know the benefits of, being introspective and connecting with God. In a twin flame relationship, people usually know. They will understand, but they will only rationalize and say, well, this clearly isn't working. I'm just going to go leave now. Don't really get very far. They're not very constructive and can obviously be very hurtful, especially when you notice that in a twin flame relationship, people come back together anyway. So just this magnetic on and off all the time, this repulsion and attraction. No, the past. Yeah. Hopefully sparked more ideas that y'all can comment on and ask questions about for next Monday's show. We are at about 25 minutes now. I definitely don't want to go over like I sometimes do, unfortunately. So unless there's another question, I shall slowly but surely conclude this show. And again, particular personal questions, you can stay anonymous, of course. I'm always happy to do that. And if you're not comfortable doing that live, that is fine too. If you just want to reach out and record a show ahead of time that I can then post, that is also an option. I'd love to do some live coaching. And of course, like my Facebook page, EnglobeMe, share the news, share the love, meditate, breathe, and be mindful. And I hope to see you again next Monday. So, wait, there's something more. I tried to relationship, regretted it, and now trying to get back to life in my life. Yeah. I heard that about a lot of twin flame relationships, but that might be something to talk about next time. So thank you for that final comment. That is great. The vacuum and what that means in regard to a twin flame relationship. Very good. Yes, I'll take that as a connecting link for next time. Great. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I'll see you again next Monday. Bye.